Beth and I flew from Christchurch, New Zealand to Sydney, Australia, and I immediately jumped on a plane to fly to Cairns, which is in the northwest corner by the Great Barrier Reef. Here's what the reef looks like from the air. It actually goes 150 miles down the coast. And we got on the Spirit of Freedom, which was my live aboard. You can see the cabins are below where the windows are. 20 people on board diving, including my dive buddy Mark, who's the husband of one of the stampers that Beth was with. We had an area in the back of the boat where we stored our equipment, and it was really easy and fast to get in the water. And this is how we got in the water, down these steps, down the back of the boat to the dive platform. You can see here what it looks like from the water as we return from a dive, and you can see the divers getting back up on the boat and putting their equipment away. We stayed in the upper deck between dives during our dive interval to dry off and get some sunshine. That's where we hung out. Here I am underwater with my dive buddy Mark. 11 dives in 3 days. Here's a pink Mau Mau band, a whole bunch of fish in the beautiful coral. And here's blue-green chromies. Just these pictures help you see what it looked like underwater. The beautiful water, but the beautiful coral. Here's Nemo. Got to see lots of clownfish, including this tomato clownfish. There's also cinnamon clownfish, and lots of different varieties, and we got to see them all in their anemones. And here's Nemo peeking out at us. Shy fish, they would back up into the anemone when they saw you coming. And here is Dory, blue tang, actually very small. Had to get really close to him to get the picture and blow it up. Here is Crush, the green sea turtle. He posed for me. He was very, very gentle and calm. Here's a Moorish idol, Gil, from Finding Nemo. And, of course, the white-tipped shark, Bruce. He was asleep until I took his picture, and then he started swimming away. Here's a magnificent sea anemone in this beautiful bright pink sack. I'm shocked to find that. Even the clams on the Great Barrier Reef are multicolored. This is a Maxima clam, blue. And here's a green giant clam, and it just looked like stars all over him with green speckles. Here's a feather star. It's actually another anemone, and it looked like Hawkeye colors. Here's a regal angelfish. They were very shy. I had to try almost the entire 11 dives to find one I could get a picture. All the corals were beautiful, including the finger corals, blue, every color you'd want to see. If you look closely on this spotted ray, you can see the stars on his back. I'm surprised to find him. Titan triggerfish, they're massive and usually in pairs. I got this one, it's a singleton. Here's a yellowtail wrasse. Now, I'd never seen this fish before. Kind of looks like a parrotfish, but smaller. And this is a prehistoric fish, a cuttlefish. Hard to spot, but we found one. It looks like a bouquet of flowers on the seafloor. Had to take a picture of that. And here's a parrotfish, and you can see all of his different colors. But what was striking to me was his forehead and all the pink design on his forehead. Here's a yellowtail long-nosed butterfly fish, a smart guy, like Maxwell Smart. And this is a banana nudibranch. Nudibranches are actually slugs, but they're really cute because they have horns. Here's a blackfin hogfish. Again, a fish I'd never seen before, multicolored, beautiful. And a big-nosed unicorn fish. Not sure why they call him unicorn, at least this guy. He didn't have a horn. Here is a humphead parrotfish, massive. And he posed for me so I could get his picture. A coral grouper. You can see he's got blue stars all over him as well. It seemed to be a theme on the coral reef. Red-breasted wrasse. And he was very shy too, down in the middle of the coral. I had to search him out. Here's a blue star fish, a blue sea star, bright blue. And a bird wrasse. It was interesting how they had a beak sticking out on his front nose. A lizard fish, looks just like a lizard would on the bottom, and hard to find. Here is a golden mouth sea squirt. Water comes in one end, they squirt it out the other. That's how they get their nutrients. And here's a black spotted pufferfish, very expressive eyes, big eyes. A pineapple sea cucumber on the seafloor, they're very common, but this one looked very shaggy. And then finally, here's a giant trevally. They're like tuna, and they're night hunters. So we got to go on a night dive. They turned the lights on the back of the boat, and you can see all the trevally coming up to get the small fish that are there to eat the plankton. The plankton comes up because of the lights, small fish, and then the trevally. And then there's also a special guest here you'll see in a minute. Here he comes. This is a white tip reef shark. We got to dive with all of this because we did a night dive and with flashlights, and anywhere you'd shine your flashlight on the coral and there's a fish, all the trevally and red bass would swarm in like piranhas to get them. And I suddenly figured out that wherever I show my light, that fish was going to die. I felt like the executioner. But I kept doing it because it was really cool to see. And also we needed the flashlights to find our way back. I stuck really close to my dive master, needless to say, because without him, I'm not sure I would have found the back of the boat. But we had saved some air to make sure we could hang out at the back of the boat for a few minutes to swim in the middle of all of these fish and see what they were doing, including the sharks. I had one of the sharks that brushed right past my left arm, and he just wanted to get to the fish he wanted to eat. He didn't want anything to do with me. But it was surreal, not something you see every day, not something that happens every day. So really enjoyed this. I can't wait to go back and dive on the Great Barrier Reef again. There's so much of it. We only really did a section about 30 miles long on the reef that we were diving. So I can't wait to go again. The liveaboard was awesome. You know, we had our own little cabin. It was like a small inside cabin, my dive buddy and I. The food was exceptional. So we'd go down for a dive. They would have a pre-breakfast, just yogurt and stuff, and we'd go diving, come back up. They'd have big breakfast, second breakfast, and then we'd go diving, and then we'd have lunch, and then people would take a nap, and then we'd go down for our fourth dive. And on the second day, we got to do our night dive that night. So it was 5 dives in one day. I was pretty tired after that, to tell you the truth. There's nitrogen buildup that occurs in your blood as you're breathing all that concentrated air, and it makes you groggy or sleepy. So I definitely slept good after 5 dives. Thank you for joining us for all of these videos. Thank you for watching. Please leave your comments.